Luke took a deep breath. I've got a really bad feeling about this, Han. Yeah, join the club.
Hey, this is Future Adam. I'm about to sit down and edit that video, and I realize this is episode 50. That's so cool. I can't believe I've got 50 books behind me. Granted, 12 of these are these little ones. But that's crazy. I started doing this like about a year ago. So I've read 50 books in the past year, which is the most I've ever read in my entire life. That's probably 50 books is more books than I've read probably in the last 10 years combined. So this series has really changed the game for me for reading. I found a new love for reading, and it's going to slow down, I'm sure, once I head off to grad school. But I have no plans of stopping reading ever. I mean, who knows what happens with life and stuff. I'm sure I'll get really busy and stuff will start to slip, but it's been really cool. So no plans of stopping. Plans of slowing down. I don't think I'll be able to do 50 in this coming year. Definitely not. But I just thought that was cool. This is my 50th book review too, which is ridiculous. But yeah, so happy reading.
Hey guys, today we're taking a look at the second book in the Thrawn Trilogy by Timothy Zahn, Dark Force Rising. This is not the new canon version. This, as it says at the very top, this is the Legends version of the story. Great book. Hop right into it a little bit about the author. I touched on this a lot in my last video of the first book, Heir to the Empire, but Timothy Zahn is widely known as one of Star Wars' best novelists, particularly before the Disney acquisition, but Disney has taken him back on, and he's actually written, I think it's a trilogy of 3 new Star Wars Thrawn books, actually, set in the same timeline as the new Disney movies. I'm not really interested in reading those, at least at this time, so I'm diving back into his originals. These 3 books are considered, before Disney took over, these were the 3 books considered the true sequels to the movies, and I personally think so far they are much, much better than what Disney came up with. So Timothy Zahn has written a number of other books, but he's probably most well known as an author for Star Wars books, and mostly well known for this trilogy, most likely. So what is this book about? This book takes place right after what happens in Heir to the Empire, and it follows all of our favorite heroes: Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Lando, and then we've got a few new characters as well that we met in our last book. We've got Mara Jade, obviously Admiral Thrawn, of course. We also have Card. We have some interesting things with the Noghri people. Really, really interesting stuff. So this takes place right after that. I'll save any spoilers to the end, but it's a really fantastic continuation of that same story. We also learn a little bit more about the Jedi Master Sabaoth, or however you pronounce his name. But yeah, so any pros and cons about this book? Again, just like the last one, it's very easy to read. I listen to it on Audible. I prefer listening to Star Wars books on Audible just because they have a lot of really cool sound effects in the background. They normally do really well picking voice actors, and I really enjoy listening to it on Audible. Reading it is just fine too, I'm sure. Any cons about this book? I can't really think of many, honestly. I will be honest, I did not like this book as much as the previous book. This was more like, that was like a 5-star for me. This was like a 4-star. It was good. I've seen a lot of people prefer this book. It just didn't work as well for me. Loved it still, just I preferred the first book in the trilogy, and we'll see how the third trilogy holds up. After this, would I recommend it? If you've read the first book, yeah. If you haven't, no. It's as simple as that, and I recommend the first book to everyone. So, read the first book, then check this book out. It's fantastic. So now I'm going to do a little bit of spoilers in this one. You know, a lot of times the second, third, fourth, or whatever books in a trilogy, these videos are going to be significantly shorter than the first one, unless these spoiler sections are big, because I talk about all the main things in the first book. But anyways, spoilers, you have been warned. So like I said, this one, it wasn't as interesting to me. I thought it was still I want to make it clear, like, that was like an amazing book, one of my favorite books I've read. This was like a really good book still too. I think my favorite part about this was Leia going to the Nogri people, kind of explaining to them how the Empire had tricked them with the, I forget what it was, that certain type of plant that they've been using, you know, and we find, like, for 48 years, I want to say, I could be off on that, that they've been sending their sons to the Empire to do their bidding because Darth Vader was their savior, and Lady Vader comes to tell them, you know, well, hey, they were tricking you and kind of taking full advantage of you. So the Nogri were like, what the heck? Now they're on the side of the New Republic. I thought all the stuff with Sabaroth was interesting too. Just learning, like, how he's insane, how Luke goes to visit him and he's like, what is up with this guy, you know? And then also at the very end when Thrawn and them kind of part ways, or they weren't getting along too well at the end. But the real big thing I think that happened throughout this book all happened at the very end with the dreadnoughts, right? New Republic was hoping to get that, card was captured, and blah, 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 all that stuff. But just getting right to it, New Republic was hoping to acquire those. Turns out Thrawn beat them to it, acquired them, but they're like, oh, it's going to take them years and years to train the people necessary to get the, to be able to use these old ships from the Clone Wars era. Then they find out, oh, well, actually, they've begun doing cloning again, just like in the Clone Wars, so it's only going to take a few months for them to be fully stocked with troops and ready to attack. We also see, I looked him up before because I forgot his name, Garmbel Iblis. Interesting backstory with that. Him and Mon Mothma kind of split ways at the birth of the rebellion, from what I understand, and just for various reasons, but they're both very much anti-Empire, okay? But at the very end, he comes and saves the day, beats Thrawn in the battle at the very end, I believe. It's been a little bit since I read this, so sorry if I'm a little shaky on some of my facts. But very interesting at the end. Hopefully they come together to take down the Empire, because I think the New Republic is starting to realize, oh crap, you know, this Thrawn guy is not a person we want to mess with, really. Like, he's not just some general. Like, he is a true military genius. So I'm really, really excited to check out the new book. I also wanted to chat a little bit about, you know, I was thinking, Grand Admiral Thrawn, he's an evil dude, and he's a great antagonist, but I don't think that he genuinely, like, I think he's truly looking for the greater good. When you look at the New Republic, or even with the Republic before the Empire took over, how much corruption there was within the government, all the politics and all that stuff. Whereas with the Empire, it was just like what Palpatine says. That's what it is, and that's how you get it done. And a lot of times, things get done much quicker because there's just one person to say, hey, yes, no, whatever. Same thing with Admiral Thrawn. And I don't really care who you are. I think you can argue Palpatine or Thrawn, who is a better leader and genius and all that stuff. I think Thrawn is not the nicest guy, but I don't think he's as evil as Palpatine. So there is a part of you that kind of thinks, well, you know, but then you think, no, he's actually still pretty evil. but you know, part of it's like, there's a lot of evil stuff that goes on in the New Republic too. You think about governments around the world. I live in the United States, which is a republic, and just the amount of politics and crap that everyone fights about and all that stuff, versus if we had a, you know, what we broke off from, the King and Queen of England, right? You know, what they say goes. If you got a good king or queen, that's heaven. The issue comes in, which is most of the time the case, it seems, as history plays out, that you don't always get those perfect kings and queens. And I think that's a similar case here. But it's just, you know, something to kind of think about. I like that. I always equate the Republic, the New Republic, to like the Roman Empire. That's always what I'm thinking of, all the senators, and it's really interesting. And then I think of the Empire more so as like after the Republic had fallen and went more into like Caesar's, you know, Nero and all that stuff. That's kind of how I equate the Empire. So it's kind of two sides of the same coin, but obviously it's not comparable in every way, but it's just kind of interesting to think about. But anyways, I think that was everything I wanted to talk about. I'm really, really excited to check out the final book in the Thrawn Trilogy, and I can't wait for it. I really, really can't. I'm going to hopefully start reading it in the next few days here. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please give me a big old thumbs up. Helps me out a ton. Hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss any other videos of me. Comment below any thoughts or questions. Did I get anything wrong? Totally possible that I did. Please leave that below. Also, if you have any book recommendations or anything like that, I'm always looking for new stuff to read. So anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.
Thank you.